Kareem Hunt, I guess not re-signing with the Browns, but staying with the Browns after shopping around with the Colts, with the Saints. We heard of some other teams that were out there looking for him. So he is now with the Browns after Nick Chubb's injury, of course. There's no Nick Chubb. Jerome Ford really did hold it down in week 2, which is very surprising. I said, on the show earlier this week, really his best Nick Chubb impression, damn near getting that 80-yard run, I believe it was, stretching out in the Steelers game. But, do you think this running back by committee now in Cleveland, considering it was really the Nick Chubb show, and obviously there was a little mix in of, Kareem Hunt a couple seasons ago and really over the last few seasons. Do you think the new committee now of Jerome Ford and Kareem Hunt is going to be enough to supplement, to, I guess, just fill in for what they lost in the presence of Nick Chubb?
I really don't think it's going to be a committee. Jerome Ford is the legitimate lead back. I thought he was good enough to be came out of the 2022 NFL draft with Brees Hall and Kenneth Good as those guys. He transferred from Alabama, balled out of Cincinnati. He doesn't have blazing speed, but he has an incredible vision, and you definitely saw that on display in the Browns loss against Pittsburgh. I mean, the dude has a really good front. Now, it does help that he's, rushing behind one of the best offensive lines in the Cleveland Browns have an eye for really good running backs. And when you look at the way that Kevin's team is set up, he does a lot of innovative things in the run game. So when you're a running back in the South Shanahan's or Kevin Stefanski, you kind of get a little bit of a stat inflation. Air raid offense works in college football. If you're running the air raid offense, your quarterback is to put up a lot of numbers. Jerome Ford contact, I really like his contact balance as well. I think he most likely of the snaps. And you got to remember that this was always the plan. Now, they didn't plan on Nick. Nobody expected that. You drafted Jerome Ford.
Hope his career is still good.
Yeah, like, too, you feel me? That was a real look for Mika Fitzpatrick. But when you look at Jerome Ford pick, Kareem Hunt was already, because remember, him and the Browns were kind of at odds with, he wanted a new deal before the season. The Browns play, fuck you. You get what I'm saying? And then we'll talk about it after the season. And then after the season, he walks to re-sign him because, like, the step, he's not the same player that he once was. Well, I mean, Jerome Ford is good second back because regardless, Jerome Ford isn't going to get all the carries. The Browns were even giving Jerome exactly. So with Kareem, he's still going to get work. I think the Browns just bought him. Why? There wasn't really nobody else in the running back market who really was as good as Kareem Hunt. And even though Klein, he already knows the system, so you can pretty much just plug and play him
comfortability
immediately.
Familiarity.
Yeah, with the Browns, it's like the run game is always going to be there for them. It may not be in to see who has a really good front, who matches up well with them up front.
Yeah, they do.
But the Browns are one of the scheme and Kevin Stefanski's run game and all of the innovative things that he likes to do. Jerome Ford, I probably would pick him up on all of my fantasy leagues. If you play fantasy football, I've been high on him.
Man, I tried to snag him already. I told my buddy, let me have him. I'm like, let me get Jerome Ford. I done asked the commissioner of the league twice.
I had a weird.
He's like, nah, I'm going.
Suspicion to Nick Chubb this year, so I just picked him up. But even before that, I was like, like he's still going to get some workload regardless. But Nick, I started getting all these trade offers. I was like, get away! Like I drafted this dude for reason.
Right. Jerome Ford possibly gonna finish like top, I don't know, 10, 12, 15 in fantasy. I'm a casual in fantasy, I won't lie. Like, I know a little bit about it, but I'm not deep in there. Like, being here on the show with guys like you and really chopping up the game is.
Let me ask you something.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's good enough that he possibly could go for over 1,000 this year. So let's say he gets 1,200 and he's averaging a high 4.5, 5 yards per carry.
Yeah.
What happens with Nick Chubb coming back from the injury? How do you running backs are really expendable? So let's say Nick Chubb comes back from that injury and he struggles.
Right. The last time Nick Chubb put his John Hancock on on an NFL contract, signing it for a new deal, like the running back position was viewed way differently. We hear every time Christian McCaffrey takes a snap, they're like, oh, how are the Niners going to address this? Highest paid running back, this, that, and the third. I hate to say it, man. Of course, I hope Chubb comes back, but I'm going to be real shocked if he's willing to step back on a football field after basically 8 years apart, having the same devastating injury to the exact same leg as well. But I think when it comes down to the running back committee and just overall, or not running back committee, the running back room, how running backs are viewed, if Nick Chubb is struggling, I think him and the Browns could have a good enough conversation to really decide where they need to go next with his contract. You could see a Jerome Ford plug in. You could see a Kareem Hunt, still get back in there again. I think Nick Chubb would more than likely retire a Brown before he would leave, but you never know. We thought Brady would be a Patriot forever. We thought Russ would be a Seahawk forever. We thought Stafford would be a Lion forever. So those types of things have really switched up. What's kind of happened here lately in the NFL. But I do think it'll be enough, whether it's just Jerome Ford or whether it's Kareem Hunt Israel, you as well. You said it perfectly. Kareem Hunt's got the familiarity to be with this team. He's been with them for the past 4 years, ever since being the league leading rusher with Kansas City and then having some of those, off-field instances to where Kansas City got rid of him, unfortunately for him. But hey, he did what he did. And obviously, Big Red in the NFL had to enact their discipline. But whether it is, all Jerome Ford or whether it's Ford and, Hunt kind of like a running back committee there, Cleveland's O-line is definitely great enough to support them, between the two. Jedrick Willis, we have Joel Bitonio, obviously Ethan Pokic, I believe is how you say it. Wyatt Teller, DeJuan Jones getting some time as well. He was, a first round grade on my board when I was coming into the NFL draft. Thought he was a great lineman there. So I do think that it will be enough. Now, of course, we're going to talk about Deshaun Watson later in the show. He's got to be a lot better. Stefanski's had a fall off over the last couple of years, so it's going to be an adjustment for everybody. Like, how's Deshaun Watson going to feel not knowing that Chubb is behind him? How is Kevin Stefanski going to possibly adjust? How is the OC going to possibly adjust? I think it'll be enough of a supplement, but of course it's going to be a tail off, and we'll probably more than likely, that's why I say, you know, enough of a supplement, we'll probably more than likely see a fall off in that run game because nobody can really fill in for Nick Chubb. And, when Chubb was there and Kareem Hunt was also backing it up, like not we, but a lot of people in the league were like, is this the best running back tandem in the NFL? And you had a great argument for it,